Dr. Mtika, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. For our listeners that don't have the privilege of knowing who you are, could you tell us who are you, where are you from, and what's your role in education?
My name is Dr. John Mtika. I'm originally from Malawi. It's a small country in the southern Africa, smaller than Nebraska, but it's got a population of 10 times the population of Nebraska. There are 19 million people in Malawi, and I came here for school and decided to stay on, and I became an American citizen. But I thought about doing something different to the people from the country that I came from. And I thought of taking something back to them that is going to be, beneficial to them. And I decided to start a small school known as Norfolk Schools in Malawi. The fact that I live in Norfolk, I decided to name it after the city that I live in. And so the school started in 2015. Actually, I went several years to find out on the feasibility studies to find out what would be feasible. And in 2013, we opened the school. I, had a principal. I said, well, I need to go back to United States, and then we're going to send staff to you. We're going to send books and everything that you need, and you go ahead and hire the teachers. So then I came here, the school opened, and we shipped some books and computers and stuff. And I asked the shippers, I said, how long is it going to take? They said, well, it takes anywhere between, 2 to, he gave me like, 3 months tops. So I said, oh, okay, fine. I did all the timing. I came back, the school opened, the shipment was not there. 2 months down the road, the board just said, well, we cannot operate the school without the materials. So we ended up closing the school, which was very excruciating. And but we closed the school in 2000. That was 2013. And then 2 months after we had closed the school, those shipment of computers and books showed up. And so we said, okay, we need to regroup and give ourselves a time that we were going to reopen. And we picked up September the 1st, 2015. So that's when Norfolk Schools in Malawi was born. And it also has got, it had its own challenges.
That's incredible. What an amazing, amazing story. Tell us a little bit, Dr. Joe, if you would please, about the Norfolk School. What grades does it teach? Does it reach? Tell us a little bit more about the specifics, if you would, please.
Nobody really believed that this is even going to be doable. So let me give you the backdrop of Malawi. Malawi was a British colony for many, many years, and the education in Malawi is based on the British education. And people in Malawi, they think highly about Britain. They want to send their kids, overseas. They think about Britain. So I'm coming up with this school, which is based on an American curriculum. This is a school that is based on Christian values, but based on an American curriculum. And whenever I'm telling people this story, they always ask me, what's the difference? One of the things that the British system doesn't have is a credit hour. Every time I go to Malawi, I have to educate people what a credit hour is all about. And the other thing in Britain is their education is measured by the last final that the student is going to take. So you could have a student that is scoring A's, but if they flunk the last class, then they're not going to graduate. So I look at that to be so rigid. And so I go in there in Malawi. I said, okay, this is going to be a college prep high school. And so what does that mean? I said, well, the students that come at this school, we're going to be preparing them to come to United States for college. And people just thought, no, this cannot happen. So I said, okay, we're going to do this. Yeah, it's going to be from 6th grade to 12th grade. So that's the approach that I took. And there were a lot of hardships, just to roll that idea. I graduated in Malawi at the Malawi, Polytechnic. So I went to the Polytechnic. I said, here, I'm trying to come up with this high school. And I told them what I'm trying to do. And they are like, okay. So I told them I'm an alumni of Malawi Polytechnic. So can you just give me a room? All what I'm looking is a classroom. Probably, a theater would be good, but a classroom. I just need somewhere where I can roll this idea.
Yeah. So
they told me how much it's going to cost. I paid the money, and I said, "Are we good?" They said, "Yes." So I go to the daily papers. I put in an ad there, and I paid them for that ad. So this was like on a Monday, and the meeting was supposed to be on a Thursday. Mm. Well, come Tuesday, I get a call from the Malawi Polytechnic. They say, "Hey, you know what, Dr. Mtika, come and get your money." I said, "Well, what's the deal?" They said, "Well, we cannot accept you to roll out your idea from this institution." So I said, "Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm an alumni from that school." They said, "Oh, no discussion. Just come and get your money. We're done." So I'm like, "Look, the paper is already running my ad, and people are going to come there." I said, "We don't care about that." So in 2013, I decided to just book a hotel room. So I said, I'm going to book. I didn't sleep there, but I just said, "Do you have a room that I can use?" And they said, "Sure, we got this room." And they told me how much it was. I told everybody, and this time I brought the reporters.
Okay.
I actually I hired a vehicle to go pick the reporters and pay the reporters, because in Malawi, you cannot just pick a reporter without paying them, even though they're covering news for the public consumption. So I paid them, and I told a few people, and also put some ads in the paper. When the day that I wanted to roll the idea came, there were more reporters than there were the people that showed up.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, well, this is not going very good. But one thing that I was very sure of is that I had that conviction that God has given me this, that I have to, help the people of Malawi in this way. Went to Norfolk Public Schools. I said, God is giving me this vision of starting a school in Malawi, and how, but I've never done this. I said, "Oh, how can we help you?" I said, "Anything and everything." They said, "We are more than happy to partner with you." They said, "Could you use some books?" I said, "I have nothing." They said, "Okay, we're going to start putting books aside, and it's going to be your problem to take it to Malawi." I said, "Well, that problem, I think I will accept it." Eventually, they're like, "Hey, we're phasing off some computers. Do you think your school would use some computers?" I said, "Oh man, this would be a huge boost. A lot of people in Malawi, I mean, they graduate the high school, they've never touched a computer. So this is going to be a real good boost." So they said, "How many do you think you can use?" So I said, "I can use all of them." And they started laughing, because I had no clue what I was asking. So they said, "Oh, no, you can, okay, let's go show you where they are first." So we went to the maintenance department where they had kept these computers. I mean, I was shocked. Norfolk is not it's not Omaha. This is a small town of only 25,000 people. Mm-hmm. The computers, I mean, they were stacks and stacks of pallets of computers. I was like a kid in a candy store. I didn't know what to say. They said, "Okay, how many computers? Just give us a number." I said, "100 computers." They said, "Okay, you got 100 computers. 3 pallets of computers, were given to me. Now I've got 3 pallets. How do I take these 3 pallets to Malawi? And then I have books. And I was like, okay, now I've got a real problem. Here in Norfolk, we have Orphan Grain Train. It's a nice, organization that sends humanitarian, aid throughout the United States and throughout the world, actually. So I went there. I said, well, I want to send computers to Malawi. And they said, how many are there? And I said 100. And the lady, this is the administrative assistant. She's like, you know what? Let me tell you, Joe. We don't go to Malawi. That's one. And two, 100 computers may look a lot to you. To us, that's a drop in an ocean. We ship 40-foot containers. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. So that's when I started asking, looking for somebody who sends things to Malawi. I found somebody in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. So, when you have an idea, a lot of people get attracted to that idea. But when the rod hits when the rubber hits the road, you now realize there's a lot than just people wishing you, that's a good idea. So some of my friends says, hey, you know what? Let's hire a trailer. So somebody hired a trailer. He said, I'm gonna pay for that. Somebody says, I'm gonna give you my truck. So we drove, more than 1,000 miles just carrying these, items to give it to this guy. And this guy had no clue what we're bringing. He just ships clothing for some, Malawians or some people that want to ship stuff to Malawi. And I bring, 100 computers and books and stuff. So, oh, whoa, wait. I think you need to pay more insurance. So this is not the sort of items that I thought you're selling. I thought you're just shipping, because these things, if they get lost, we're going to be liable. Right. So you need to pay more, insurance. I said, I'm glad to do that. So I'm coming back. I'm like, no, there's got to be a better way of shipping things to Malawi. I came back. I decided to go back to Orphan Grain Train, but this time I decided to go through the board chair, and I had served with him on another board. So I picked up a phone. I said, I called him. I said, I got something that I want to, talk to you. He says, okay, come over. So I went there. His Pastor Ray Wilker. So I said, I think Orphan Grain Train should be going to Malawi. He says, why do you think so? I said, well, 2 reasons. One, because all these humanitarian aid that you're giving to here, people in the United States, wherever, all over the world, there are people in Malawi that can use those. And the other thing is because I'm opening a school in Malawi, and I think we can work together. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, look, I'm prepared to pay you the money that I paid this guy in Michigan if I don't have to cover 1,000 miles. Because 1,000 miles already, that means all the money that I was thinking to ship is consumed in this. I said, you do that? I said, yeah. So he picks up the phone and he calls the owner of Orphan Grain Train. Do you know John Mtika? He says, oh yeah, I've heard of him. I've met him a couple of times. He says, well, can we come and see you? He says, I just want you to hear him out. Can you guys come on Wednesday? I said, sure, I'll make some time on Wednesday. So I go in there. They have a map of the world, on the side. I didn't say a word. I went in there, and Clayton Andrews says, so tell us, Joe, where do you think we can ship things to go to Malawi? Now, Malawi is a landlocked country. So I said, well, we need to use a couple ports in Mozambique. He said, okay, just tell me what you need. We have everything that we need to start a school. We're going to make that school get started in Malawi. Just tell us what you need. And we're going to ship you a 40-foot container. And by the way, don't bother sending it back. That's, the gift that we're going to give. It's up to you. Whatever is in that container, you want to sell it, well, that's okay with us. We are giving that gift to you. What you do with that, it's up to you. I was like, my goodness, God, I think has opened the door now. So that is the beginning of Norfolk Schools in Malawi.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
It strikes me for a couple of reasons, Dr. Mtika. One, what an incredible amount of patience and just having that super strong conviction to know that this is something that needed to happen. And two, what an amazing testament to the connection of human beings and people and the goodness in human people and the
Right.
belief that people will do what's right and will help out. My gosh, what an incredible story.
We applied to the Ministry of Education in Malawi that want to start this new school. I applied for the license and what have you. And then they had to inspect the board in Malawi came up with the location where the school is going to start from. So the building, we asked the Minister of Education in Malawi to come and inspect the building. They condemned the building outright. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I was so irate. After they condemned that, I decided to go back to them. I said, look here, there were 5, inspectors from, Ministry of Education. I said, let me tell you, this school is just something that God has given me that I should pay back to the country that I came from. My kids will never go to this school. I want to help your kids come and get a quality education, both from this school and in the United States. Right. But you're on the road right now, frustrating me. I've got a container full of items. Right now, I feel like I should jump on the next flight going back to the United States and just let the government deal with this the way they want. If they want to sell the container, that's up to them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? People in America told me I was, crazy thinking of opening a school in Malawi. And now I can understand. It's ideas like yours, that have chased people that want to open a school in Malawi, a decent school in Malawi. Mm-hmm. After I said those words, I told them, I said, right now, I'm going to rebook my ticket. I'm going back to the United States. You do whatever you want to do with that container. I don't care. It's your kids that I'm trying to help. Mm. After I said those words, you could hear a pin drop. Mm. Oh, you know what, Dr. Mtika, I think maybe we can help you. You shouldn't leave. And I said, no, right? You guys are frustrating me. Mm-hmm. I'm so frustrated right now. I cannot stand being in Malawi anymore. Mm. So they went ahead and started looking for a place for me. Oh, wow. Those, 5 inspectors. Yeah. And they came up with a place that was abandoned by another school. And they said, well, I think you can start from there. And that's the school that is, you can see that building behind me. Oh, wow. So I go out and do the marketing, came up with an open house. People in Malawi didn't know what an open house is. I had to explain what it's, what I'm trying to do. So I tell the reporters again, I brought the reporters, and we had music going on, and people said, what's going on? And I said, well, there's a school, there's a guy from the United States who's going to start a school from there. So people came and went pop and cookies, and they're, checking out the school, and I'm like, wow, this is it. This is really going to work this time. So came September the 1st, 2015. That's the day we're going to open the school. Only 1 student registered. Whilst the board here is waiting to hear the good news, I tell them that we only had 1 student. So I tell the board here in the United States, they said, all right, I think Malawi has rejected that school. Just close the school, find somebody you can donate those items. Maybe there's another school somewhere there you can, donate, and just get out of Malawi. Mm. So I tried to reason with them and say, hey, we've already paid rent for 3 months. They said, well, forget about that, Brent. I mean, there's no way this is going to work.
Yeah.
So just when I was about to pull out of Malawi, God was telling me, he says, at least you've got one student. I had to stay behind because of that student.
Mm.
And his parents says, well, just forget about that school. Let's just go to the other school that you were going there. And the kid says, no, I love those people. Those people are nice. I want to continue going to that school. So there were three of us teaching. I had two other teachers. So we're teaching, imagine, three teachers teaching one student, Monday through Friday.
Incredible.
I know. I was like, this is really a wrong number. I think I better pull out of this place as quickly as I can. But God was saying, wait. We ended up, and so we have, imagine, 100 computers, one student, and three teachers. So we decided to open up the computer school and, start teaching people and kids how to, use a computer. Well, after 3 months, I had to come back and face the music. So I come back here in the United States. I have to meet the board, and the first thing they said, "Okay, why were you still in Malawi all this time?"
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Oh, you remember you said I should find somebody that I should donate the items?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, I found that person." And they said, "Okay, who's that person?" I said, "The person is Joe Mtika." And they're like, "You kidding us?" I said, "No." They went ahead and dissolved the corporation that I had, started.
No kidding.
Yeah, I tried all what I could,
Mm-hmm.
but the vote came. We were short by one vote, and they decided to dissolve the school, the board, the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So the first school, the name was Norfolk Private Schools, Malawi.
Hmm.
So when they did that, I decided. I said, "Well, you guys told me to, find somebody. You got to donate those items to me." So they accepted donating all those items to me.
Sure.
And I started another corporation with the name Norfolk Schools in Malawi, Incorporated.
Wow.
And Lincoln accepted because I asked them, is it okay if I go with that name? They said, well, I think it's different enough that you can go ahead. So I registered that company. And at the end of that school year, we had 5 students in the regular school and 5 students in the computer school.
Oh, wow.
That was the year 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those students were from 6th grade to 12th grade.
How did you keep that inspiration the entire time? Because, one thing that we really try to do with our students is teach them perseverance, even when things are hard. And you're living proof of overcoming hard challenges because of the dream that you had. So what kept you inspired that whole time?
So I thought about, I thought about giving up so many times, but there was always this challenge of saying, if all what I'm doing is going to benefit one student, it would be all worth it. By the statistics of Malawi, the chances of anyone going to college in Malawi is less than 1%. Less than 1%.
Wow.
So I'm like, if I give up, that percentage is just going to continue going down.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you are giving not just to people here in the United States, but you have that global vision and your heart is in Malawi, and the kids come from Malawi then to the United States and they further their education. What are the percents? I'm just curious, what are the percents of the kids that go to Norfolk schools and then end up at an institution in the United States?
So the first year I told you we ended up with 5 students,
Mm-hmm.
in the regular school. The following year, we ended up with 8 students. And out of those, 3 graduated.
Okay.
and all of them ended up in colleges at Northeast Community College.
That's a really good percent. What is that?
I know. So
3 that's almost 50%, Joe. That beats 1% by a long
yeah,
ways.
but that was 100% of the students that graduated.
Yeah.
So there were 3 that graduated. All of them ended up here. And the following year, we had 20, about 20 students. And out of those, 12 graduated.
Wow.
Out of the 12, 11 ended up here.
Unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Those are huge numbers. Yeah, my gosh.
And the school has been going on since 2015 to now. We have more than 30 students that are here in the United States studying.
Wow.
Since 2015.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have also partnered with Northeast Community College and Wayne State College, my alma mater, to help bring these students over here.
Something that Josh and I talk a lot about is that we need to model partnerships, and we need to model what it looks like to embrace the community. And it sounds like you really took your vision and went searching for partnerships, and you asked the questions, and people are more than happy to help out and support.
Yeah, so I'm not ashamed to ask people to help, because I'm not asking that for myself. And like I told these inspectors in Malawi, I said, my kids are not going to go to this school. I'm helping the students in Malawi have a better life, better education, and come up here, get an education. And what they do with that education is up to them. They want to work here in the United States, or they want to go back to Malawi and help the country of Malawi. That's up to them. God gave me this vision of bringing them here and give them an education. That's my vision. Problems traveling in Malawi. I'm using public transportation. It's not, by the time I'm done, traveling, I'm about ready to come back to the United States. So I asked for a vehicle. So one member from our church donated a vehicle. And likewise, I went back to, often grain train and said, well, we have now a vehicle apart from the other things that you're shipping. So they shipped that vehicle to Malawi.
Oh, wow.
And then when it arrived in Malawi, the government of Malawi, we always ask them to give us a duty, waiver. But they didn't give us a duty waiver on the vehicle. So we had to pay, $500 duty. But I was not happy because they confiscated everything else. When I got back from Malawi in 2017, I was not happy that they confiscated some of the items. So I wrote letters, and one of that letter ended up at the Malawian ambassador's desk in Washington, D.C. And he had just come from Brazil. And he said, is this guy for real? Do you know Dr. John Mtika? They said, well, yeah, we know him. He started the school in Malawi, and this ship stopped in Malawi. So he's a real person. It's not like he's just making noise. So he started, trying to get hold of him. And one time I find my phone, and there's a number from DC, and there's like, oh, my name is, so-and-so, I'm the new ambassador, and I really want to talk to you. So so that's not, sometimes you listen to messages, you're like, oh gosh, this is just a waste of time. So I found out, I'm like, no, I'm losing nothing if I, call this number. So I call him back, and he really introduced himself. I'm so-and-so, I'm the new Malawian ambassador. I've read your letter. I am so sorry. You live here in DC area? I said, no, I live in, Nebraska. We're very far away from there. He says, if you were in DC area, I would have come to your office and apologize.
Oh, wow.
You are one of the people we should be patting, your back because of what you're doing. And we should be supporting you. Can we bury the hatchet and start all over again? I said, what do you mean? I'm skeptic about politicians. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this guy. It's like, no, I want to give me a chance to work on this.
Oh, wow.
I will from now tell you every step that I'm taking. The letters that I'm going to be writing, I'm going to be copying them to you until we get this resolved. You are the person we should be supporting. We need, like 5 people like you to be, helping Malawi. He started the process. I mean, I said, I got nothing to lose. So he started the process. And in 10 months, they gave us those items duty free.
Wow.
After 10 months, I was so excited. And I called him, I said, Your Excellency is, His Excellency Edward Saueringer. I said, Your Excellency, you've done me a lot of favor. I want to do something for you and, Malawi. He says, what is that? I said, I want to thank you. I want to make the city where the school is located in Malawi and the city that I live in to be sister cities. He says, you do that? I said, yeah, if you let me, I will.
Mm.
So I went to the city, my mayor, and I told him about this. I mean, he had already heard about this project, but now I was asking him, I said, look, would you be interested to be a sister city to the city that my school is located? He said, oh, that would be great. So, and then I called the guy there. I didn't even know him from Adam. So I called the mayor in Malawi, and they told me how to get hold of him. He was at that time traveling in South Africa. So they gave me his phone number. I called him and I introduced myself and, and the school that I've started in Malawi. I said, would you be interested to be a sister city to Norfolk Schools in Norfolk, Nebraska, where I live? I said, oh, that would be such a great honor. So I said, well, you have to promise me one thing. He says, what is that? I said, you have to promise me that you're going to travel to United States and come to this small town of Norfolk, Nebraska. Because Blanta, where the school is located, is a bigger city. It's a city like Omaha.
Okay.
So about 1 million people. And you can imagine now you're talking about a city which is only 24,000. So I said, you have to promise me that you're going to come. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to try. And maybe we can not have enough money for the, for hotels and stuff like that. I said, you leave that to us. I mean, the mayor, Josh, accepted this, and they start corresponding with the other mayor. And the date was set that they have to travel to, to Norfolk, Nebraska. And the ambassadors and his own, he brought in 2 others from his, embassy to Norfolk. During that time, Norfolk Daily News got 7 days covering everything about Malawi, how big Malawi is, what's the economy of the country, why these dignitaries are coming to a small town like they're talking about the school, and all that is now gathering momentum.
Yes.
Because of collaboration which had started by them Malawi government confiscating the items that we needed at the school.
Wow.
In Norfolk, we have now Northeast Community College. The president of Northeast Community College, opens up some time and some personnel to be talking about how to welcome an ambassador in a small town. And then we have the city also opening up the time and the personnel how to welcome the ambassador in a small town. I have my school board that is also involved, and I have Norfolk Public Schools that is also involved. So it's the whole town trying to welcome the Malawian ambassador, which started by a small school that was started in Malawi that almost closed.
That story is absolutely amazing. From all of the challenges and hardships that you went through to get your school off the ground to how it is now. I mean, I'm inspired.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
absolutely speechless.
I get inspired by myself, and it's worse when I've got an audience. So
Dr.
yeah.
Joe, I thank you so much for being here and sharing this amazing, amazing story. The global perspective that you bring to education and the passion that you have to share education globally is really incredible. At the end of every episode, we ask. In the 1960s, there was this song about what the world needs, and it was "Love, Sweet Love," Dr. Joe.
Right.
I'm curious, with your global perspective, what does the world need now?
You know, the world needs a lot of education. So I get to Malawi and people ask me, are you trying to Americanize Malawi? And I tell them, I said, look, people in Malawi will do whatever they want to do. And I mean, I go to Malawi, I see these kids singing hip hop and, doing all sorts of things. They already copy those things. But I took to Malawi something that is going to be with them forever. And that's an education. And it's not just Malawi, it's any country. What the world needs today is education, and the quality education for that matter. Somebody told me that they went to Haiti one time, and they said that they found kids that were not eating enough, and their bellies are, that they're malnourished, and their bellies are crying for something, but they don't have food. So what they found out is that people in Haiti would make these dirt cookies, okay, and just maybe put in some sugar a little bit so they can be, palatable so people can eat, just for their stomach to, act on something. But you and me know that there's very little value that their bodies are going to get from dirt. I mean, I live in the United States. I went to college. I got college degrees. I cannot start a school that is going to be giving kids dirt cookies.
Right.
I want to give them an education that is going to transform them. I want to give them a quality education. Norfolk Schools in Malawi is the only center in Malawi that offers ACT. So these kids sit for ACT, and once they sit for the ACT, those results are sent to the colleges here. And the colleges are able to see and realize that these students are capable to compete with other students when they come here.
Wow.
That is what the world needs. We need a quality education. We need an education that is going to be with the students and transform not just them, but their families, their communities, their countries.
Yes.
One of the students, and I have so many stories, but I want to end up with this one. During the pandemic, you told me about the challenges of pandemic. In Malawi, the schools were closed for some time, several times actually. One of the students that is studying here, an alumni of Norfolk Schools in Malawi, she works as well as going to school. Her dad could not go to school, could not teach. So he was at home doing nothing. And this student here said, Dad, don't worry. I'm going to be sending money every month. You're not going to starve during the pandemic. And that's what happened. And this girl is not graduated, but she was able to do that because she is able to go to school and able to care for her family back home in Malawi. That's what the world needs.
Dr. Joe, thank you for being here with us and ending with that great reminder of the power of education and what teachers carry with them and what school carries with it for each kid. Yeah. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's quite an honor to me. I didn't know about this podcast. Now I'll be, looking forward to hearing more about it.